Have you ever stopped to think about what truly defines a wise person, especially a woman, when life throws its toughest challenges her way? What are the secrets that give her the grace and strength to not only endure but thrive in adversity? In today's discussion, we're diving deep into this timeless question, exploring the 3 things a truly wise woman never says, and more importantly, why these qualities are essential for leading a life of peace, fulfillment, and empowerment, even in the face of life's hardest trials. As we journey through this topic, you'll uncover subtle yet powerful habits that have the potential to either strengthen or weaken the relationships you value most. While these lessons focus on women, their impact transcends gender. They are for anyone seeking to live with dignity, resilience, and harmony. We'll take a closer look at how constant complaining can trap you in a cycle of negativity, how avoiding sharp criticism can preserve the bonds that matter, and why maintaining quiet strength during difficult moments can pave the way to true freedom and happiness. By the time we finish, you'll gain a fresh perspective on transforming your mindset, safeguarding your inner peace, and making choices that reflect wisdom, even when circumstances seem overwhelming. If you've ever felt stuck in negativity or questioned how to maintain your integrity in turbulent times, this discussion is for you. Together, we'll explore how small yet meaningful shifts in your perspective and actions can open doors to greater happiness, stronger connections, and the clarity to navigate life's storms. If you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe and click the notification bell so you won't miss future content like this. Your support means the world to me, and if you find this video helpful, please don't hesitate to like and share it with others who might benefit. It's a small gesture, but it goes a long way in helping us spread these valuable life lessons. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment with the number 1. If you feel there's room for improvement, comment 0 and share your suggestions on how I can make these discussions even more meaningful for you. Now, let's get started and dive into the wisdom that can transform your life. 1. When facing a matter, do not speak resentful words. Psychologists often highlight a profound truth. The more you complain, the deeper you fall into a cycle of misfortune. This concept emphasizes that venting dissatisfaction about life's challenges rarely resolves the problem. Instead, it creates a negative spiral that traps not only the complainer but also those around them in a cycle of frustration and stagnation. Take, for example, my former neighbor, Emily. She was the kind of woman you might describe as hardworking and meticulous, a model of responsibility and care. Emily managed every detail of her household with precision and devotion, ensuring her family's needs were met. However, despite all her efforts, Emily struggled to gain the love and respect she yearned for from her husband, Mark, and their children. The issue didn't lie in her competence or dedication, but in her habit of voicing constant dissatisfaction. Whenever a challenge arose, Emily's first response was to sigh heavily and blame Mark. From small issues like his preference for trying new projects to comparing him unfavorably to other men, her words carried an undertone of resentment. These remarks, often filled with frustration, began to strain their marriage. What could have been a haven for both of them became cold and tense, much like a house trapped in perpetual winter. Over time, Mark grew distant and unmotivated, and their arguments became more frequent. The warmth and connection they once shared were overshadowed by a cloud of negativity that refused to lift. Women, and indeed anyone, who fall into the habit of constant complaining may not realize the damage it causes. Each complaint, like a tiny thorn, pricks at the hearts of those around them. Over time, this negativity builds an invisible wall that distances them from the happiness they seek. Resentful words act as seeds of discontent, sowing disappointment and pessimism in the speaker's own heart while alienating others. It becomes increasingly challenging for those who consistently express dissatisfaction to gain the empathy or support they crave. Instead, they often find themselves isolated, their path to peace and fulfillment blocked by their negativity. There's a wise saying that serves as a cautionary reminder. Those who understand their destiny do not curse the heavens, and those who understand themselves do not blame others. To curse the heavens weakens your resolve, and to blame others keeps you stuck in place. This perspective invites us to look inward rather than outward when facing challenges. Life, with all its ups and downs, is a series of trials meant to strengthen the soul and teach valuable lessons. By accepting this truth, we begin to see that resentment and blame are not productive responses. Instead, understanding the chain of cause and effect in life allows us to take responsibility for our thoughts and actions, empowering us to break free from the cycle of negativity. Emily likely didn't realize that her words were creating invisible wounds, not only in Mark but also in herself. A truly wise woman understands the power of words and uses them carefully. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, she channels her energy toward solutions and cultivates gratitude. Like sunlight breaking through the clouds, a positive mindset has the power to bring light and warmth to even the darkest situations. Emily's story reminds us all that by replacing resentment with gratitude and choosing to share our thoughts with sincerity and optimism, we can transform our lives and relationships into something brighter and more fulfilling. 2. Avoid expressing intense complaints towards others. An adage goes, blaming others is like pouring water into your shoes. The more you complain, the more unbearable your situation becomes. Complaints do little to alleviate problems. Instead, they weigh heavily on the heart and soul. The comparison to walking in wet shoes is striking. Every step becomes harder, and the discomfort only grows. When affection and warmth in a relationship are overshadowed by constant dissatisfaction, complaints often become a misplaced outlet for anger. But this habit doesn't heal wounds. It magnifies the pain, scattering the family's harmony like a fierce wind that dismantles a cozy home. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Let me tell you about my friend, Karen, who had a habit of complaining about everything under the sun. Her husband, John, worked in sales, a demanding job that left him with little time or energy for family matters. Instead of encouraging him, Karen constantly criticized him about his income, his long hours, and his supposed neglect of their home life. Her words, often dripping with sarcasm, became daggers aimed at his self-esteem. "How was work today? Did another client chew you out?" She'd quip, her voice laced with condescension. "Is even one task too much for you?" she'd add, rolling her eyes at the slightest misstep. Even when John earned a promotion, a long-awaited milestone, Karen didn't relent. She simply found new reasons to express dissatisfaction. One evening, after dinner, Karen asked John to help with the dishes. He was finishing up some work on his laptop and couldn't immediately comply. Instead of showing understanding, Karen sighed dramatically. "Oh, of course, you're busy. Because I don't have a job, meals to cook, or laundry to do," she retorted. Her frustration boiled over. "Do you think I'm some kind of machine? Can't you just wash the dishes for once?" The tension escalated as they exchanged verbal jabs, each one more cutting than the last. Finally, Karen broke down, sobbing, "I can't live like this anymore." But those tears did not bridge the growing chasm between them. Instead, John, already worn down by years of relentless criticism, finally snapped. In a heated argument, he unleashed his pent-up frustrations and broached the topic of divorce. Their marriage, once filled with potential, had crumbled under the weight of complaints and bitterness. This story is not uncommon. People like Karen, who constantly complain, often fail to realize the harm they inflict, not only on their relationships but also on themselves. Each complaint is like a tiny, sharp needle, pricking the emotional fabric of their connections. Over time, this negativity becomes a spiral, pulling them further away from peace and happiness. The renowned ethnologist Yanagi once remarked, "Those who always complain lose their fortunes." A wise person, especially a wise woman, understands that life's challenges are inevitable but temporary. Complaining amplifies negativity, while calmness and composure can pave the way for clarity and solutions. Life is rarely smooth sailing. Trials and tribulations are unavoidable, but they are also growth opportunities. Those with a strong sense of self know how to calm their hearts during tough times, recognizing that their negative emotions are fleeting. They resist the urge to vent and instead focus on regaining perspective. As the saying goes, still waters run deep. True strength lies in maintaining quiet resilience. A calm demeanor reflects inner power and wisdom. When you let go of complaints and replace them with empathy, and when you trade worries for trust, life's journey becomes lighter. With each burden you release, your steps become firmer, and your path becomes clearer. Karen's story is a reminder for all of us. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on how to make things right. Complaining may provide momentary relief, but it does nothing to solve the underlying issues. Wisdom lies in knowing when to stay silent, when to extend grace, and when to hold on to hope, even during life's storms. 3. Do not accumulate wealth. Have you ever noticed how those who isolate themselves in pursuit of wealth or material success often face unforeseen problems? It's a phenomenon that resonates across cultures and wisdom traditions. The ancient Chinese classic Tao Te Ching offers an enduring piece of advice. Be bright but not dazzling, like quiet and deep water. This counsel reminds us that when life is going well, we should cultivate our blessings with humility and care, much like the gentle flow of deep water. It warns against the dangers of excessive pride or showiness, urging us instead to act with restraint and protect the harmony and peace in our lives. Consider the behavior of those who constantly flaunt their possessions. Some people never miss an opportunity to talk about the size of their house, the car they drive, or the designer brands they wear. While they may genuinely be affluent, such boasting often alienates others rather than enhancing their perceived value. It can even backfire, attracting envy or unwanted attention instead of admiration. In today's social media age, this tendency has become even more pronounced. Take, for instance, young women who marry into wealth and showcase their opulent lifestyles online, posting pictures of sprawling mansions, exotic vacations, or luxury handbags. They might see these posts as harmless celebrations of their success, but in reality, they often invite jealousy and scrutiny. Worse yet, they inadvertently expose their private lives to people who might take advantage of their wealth or vulnerabilities. Jealousy is an ever-present emotion in adult life. While some people may genuinely wish you happiness, many find it difficult to celebrate someone else's good fortune when it eclipses their own. This is why accumulating wealth without wisdom can lead to problems. It doesn't guarantee happiness or peace. Instead, it can make you or your family a target for envy, exploitation, or resentment. Truly wise women understand this risk. They embrace modesty and privacy as protective shields, safeguarding their inner peace and the value of their relationships. On the flip side, those facing financial hardships often feel compelled to share their struggles openly, hoping for empathy. However, people don't always respond with kindness. Instead of receiving the support they need, those who reveal their hardships are sometimes met with scorn, pity, or indifference. Expressing dissatisfaction over financial struggles rarely solves the problem. It often amplifies feelings of helplessness and alienates others. The story of Japanese entrepreneur and philosopher Kazuo Inamori illustrates this wisdom beautifully. Born into extreme poverty, his family often struggled to put 2 meals on the table. Yet, his mother never complained. Instead, she taught him a valuable lesson. No matter what circumstances you are in, hold your head high. Carry pride in your heart and walk. Her quiet resilience and refusal to dwell on hardship instilled in Inamori the strength and determination to persevere. Through relentless effort and a commitment to self-improvement, he rose above his circumstances and built one of Japan's most successful corporations. Inamori's story serves as a powerful reminder that life's difficulties cannot be overcome by lamenting them. Real change requires hard work, a clear sense of purpose, and the ability to endure adversity with grace. A wise woman remains composed, even when faced with immense challenges. She doesn't let suffering cloud her soul, but instead uses it as fuel to grow stronger. Her quiet strength becomes a source of power, enabling her to transform hardship into triumph and, ultimately, to find peace and fulfillment. Whether in wealth or adversity, wisdom lies in finding balance. Protecting your privacy, maintaining humility, and focusing on self-improvement are the cornerstones of a peaceful and fulfilling life. As you navigate life's challenges, remember that your worth is not measured by what you own but by the strength and integrity you bring to each moment. 1. A story about a husband who did not divorce his cheating wife. My name is Thomas, and I'm 60 years old. I grew up in a quiet rural town in Montana, where life was simple but challenging. My wife, Linda, and I have been married for 36 years. At the beginning of our marriage, Linda was an incredible partner, capable, selfless, and deeply devoted to our family. I admired her strength and cherished her as the woman I loved, believing wholeheartedly that she was the kindest and most genuine person I'd ever known. Ours wasn't a love match at first. It was an arranged marriage of sorts, encouraged by our families who believed we'd be a good fit. But Linda poured her heart into building our small family, and I quickly came to see her as my life partner in every sense of the word. A few years into our marriage, Linda gave birth to our first child, and with that, my responsibilities as a husband and father grew. I was determined to provide for my family, even if it meant making sacrifices. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. To ensure a stable future for us, I took a job that required me to move to the city while Linda stayed home to care for our child. Though I felt guilty about leaving, I believed enduring the separation was the price of securing a better life. 4 years, I worked tirelessly, often far from home, driven by the hope that one day I'd return to enjoy the fruits of my labor with my family. After achieving financial stability, I finally came home, ready to rekindle the bond Linda and I had shared and savor the peace I thought awaited us. Linda never complained about my long absences. She carried the weight of managing the household and raising our children with quiet resilience. Her unwavering support and understanding moved me deeply. I thought to myself, what an extraordinary woman I'm married to. But as life often does, it took an unexpected turn. I later discovered that Linda had been unfaithful. Her betrayal spanned 20 long years. Although I had begun to sense something was amiss, it wasn't until a close friend revealed undeniable evidence that the truth became clear. At that moment, my world shattered. I felt as though someone had driven a knife into my chest. I believed my love, sacrifices, and years of hard work would be enough to sustain her faithfulness. Yet here I was, grappling with the devastating reality of betrayal. In my pain, I couldn't help but wonder, had I, in some way, failed her? Was my long absence and lack of attention the reason she felt so alone? The anguish was overwhelming, but rather than rushing to file for divorce, I paused. Divorce seemed like the natural reaction, but I wrestled with the decision. After much soul-searching, I chose a different path. This choice wasn't born of weakness or denial, but rather from a deep sense of responsibility to my family and a reflection of the values I held dear. As I've grown older, I've come to accept that no marriage is perfect. Relationships are like fragile boats on a vast, unpredictable ocean. Inevitably, they'll encounter rough waters. Linda's infidelity was undeniably wrong, but as I reflected on our shared history, I realized that neither of us was entirely blameless. While I was working endlessly to secure our future, I had unknowingly allowed distance and silence to take root in our marriage. Perhaps I didn't fully grasp the depth of Linda's loneliness, and for that, I share some responsibility. Choosing not to divorce was not an easy decision. It required me to let go of resentment, not because I forgave her betrayal, but because I wanted to free myself from the emotional burden. Resentment, I realized, would only rob me of peace. Now that our children are grown and living lives of their own, Linda and I continue to live under the same roof, though our relationship has evolved into something more practical than romantic. The love we once shared is no longer there, but I've stopped revisiting the pain of the past. Doing so would only reopen old wounds and make moving forward impossible. Life isn't always about absolute rights and wrongs. More often, it's about compromises and choices. I chose to stay in this marriage not out of weakness but out of gratitude for Linda's earlier dedication to our family and a commitment to protecting the stability of what we'd built. While our relationship will never be the same, I've found a measure of peace in accepting the imperfections of our shared journey. I hope that everyone facing such trials can find their path to peace, whether through forgiveness, separation, or something in between. When the heart is at peace, I believe we come closer to understanding the essence of life. 2. Responsibility towards the family. Children are innocent. They bear no fault for the conflicts or shortcomings of their parents. When two people choose to marry and bring children into the world, I believe they also take on an unspoken but profound responsibility to cherish and protect the family they've created. Divorce may offer a solution to marital problems for the couple involved, but it often comes at a significant emotional cost to the children. I couldn't turn a blind eye to the potential pain and scars that such a decision might leave on them. What children need most isn't perfection from their parents or an idealized version of family life. What they truly need is a safe, loving environment where they can feel secure. A home that offers warmth, stability, and a sense of belonging. Even with the rift between Linda and me, I was determined to maintain that sense of stability for our children. I wanted them to grow up believing in love, trust, and the possibility of a happy marriage. If I let the pain and anger of our situation tear apart the family unit, I feared that it would destroy their faith in relationships and leave them carrying the baggage of our mistakes into their own lives. In this imperfect world, families are seldom without flaws. But I've come to see that the strength of a family lies not in its perfection but in its resilience. It's a space where each member can learn, grow, and support one another, even amidst challenges. I chose not to divorce Linda because I believed in preserving this structure, even if it wasn't perfect. It wasn't an easy decision, but I felt it was the right one for the long-term well-being of my children. By staying together, I hope to provide them with the foundation of stability they needed to feel confident in their futures. My choice wasn't about ignoring the betrayal or pretending it didn't hurt. It was about focusing on something greater than my pain. It was about ensuring that, despite the cracks in my marriage, our family could still function as a unit where love, learning, and growth could continue. In the end, this decision wasn't about Linda or me. It was about honoring the responsibility we took on the day we became parents. For their sake, I chose to stay, to uphold a sense of normalcy and unity, and to give them the tools to believe in the possibility of love and trust. It's not a path everyone would take, and it may not even be the right choice for every family. But for me, it felt like the only way to ensure that my children could grow up with hope, resilience, and a belief in the power of family. 3. About her past contributions. Even in the shadow of her betrayal, I cannot ignore or forget the years Linda devoted to our family. When I left home to pursue work, it was Linda who shouldered the weight of running the household. She took care of our children, looked after my aging parents, and maintained a home where I could always return to a sense of order and stability. Her dedication was unwavering. I remember how she silently fulfilled her duties as a wife and mother, never complaining, no matter how challenging the circumstances. This level of commitment cannot simply be erased by her mistakes. Life is rarely black and white. It's not always about separating good from evil in clear terms, but rather about evaluating the entirety of a person's actions. While her betrayal dealt a significant blow to our marriage, it does not undo the many sacrifices she made for our family over the years. Because of this, I chose to remain silent. Not out of weakness, but out of respect for the life we built together and the good that still exists in our shared past. When I first discovered Linda's infidelity, I was overwhelmed by shock and pain. The idea that she could engage in such an act was unfathomable to me. Disgust and disappointment consumed me, and I wrestled with thoughts of divorce countless times. But after many long, sleepless nights, I came to an unsettling realization. divorce would grant her freedom, the very thing she seemed to seek. It would allow her to spend time with her lover without the constraints of our marriage. I couldn't bear to give her that release, nor could I face the prospect of dismantling the family structure we had worked so hard to maintain. Moreover, the practical side of me couldn't overlook the stability Linda provided within our household. The thought of remarrying crossed my mind, but I doubted that anyone else could manage the house as competently as she had. Even in betrayal, Linda had fulfilled her roles as a mother and wife with diligence, caring for our children and my parents without neglecting her responsibilities. For all her faults, these contributions carried weight. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. So, I chose not to divorce. I decided to treat her as a member of the family, though without the emotional connection that once existed. This wasn't an easy choice. It came with its kind of pain, but it felt like the best way to preserve some semblance of normalcy and stability. At the same time, it allowed me to hold her accountable for her actions. I distanced myself emotionally, treating her with cold indifference. I stopped giving her living expenses and separated our bedrooms. The very thought of her being with another man filled me with an uncontrollable disgust. At one point, I sought revenge in my way. I started speaking openly on the phone with another woman in her presence, making sure Linda knew she was no longer the center of my world. She never confronted me about it, perhaps because she understood she had forfeited any right to protest. Whenever she returned from seeing her lover, she would make exaggerated efforts to serve the family, as if attempting to atone for her actions. But I remained unmoved. My treatment of Linda was far from ideal, but in the context of our fractured marriage, I saw it as a way to maintain control and stability. Over time, her behavior changed. She stopped meeting other men and became more obedient, perhaps recognizing that her actions had consequences. She seemed to understand that the scorn and coldness she faced were part of her punishment. People have asked me why I didn't forgive her. The answer is simple. I couldn't. Even if time heals the wounds, forgiveness feels impossible. Her betrayal corroded the foundation of our love, and every time I look at her, the anger resurfaces. While I believe she regrets her actions, her regret holds no meaning for me. We cannot go back to what we once had, and I have no intention of giving her another chance. Linda once asked for a divorce, unable to bear the strained and miserable existence we now share. But I refused. To me, letting her leave would be too easy. Her betrayal came with a price, and staying in this house, facing the consequences of her actions, is the compensation she owes. I have no desire to give her an escape route, no matter how much she may wish for one. My choice to keep Linda in the marriage is not something everyone will agree with, and I understand that. But for me, it feels like the only way to reconcile the pain she caused while preserving the family structure we built. It is far from perfect, but life seldom offers perfect solutions. As we come to the end of this video, I hope the stories and lessons shared have given you valuable insights into life, relationships, and resilience. Life is rarely perfect, and neither are the choices we make. But through reflection, understanding, and strength, we can navigate even the most challenging situations. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What resonated with you the most? Was it the importance of avoiding resentment, the value of preserving family for the sake of your children, or the quiet strength in acknowledging someone's past contributions despite their flaws? Take a moment to reflect and share in the comments below. What is one thing you've learned from this video, and how will you bring it into practice in your life? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, and share it with others who might find these lessons meaningful. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos. Your support means so much to us, and we're grateful to have you on this journey of learning and growth. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.